He's got my gun!
Where are you shot? I don't know! What are you...
You've seen movies where cops pull out all sorts of tricks to get a confession. But what if I told you that these tactics are real and they're used against you every day? From clever psychological games to sneaky legal loopholes, police have a playbook full of tricks they don't want you to know. Today, we're diving into 25 shocking strategies they use to get ahead. And trust me, you'll want to know what they're really up to. Let's get into it. 1. The loaded question. Do you know why I stopped you? When a police officer asks, "Do you know why I stopped you?" It may seem like a simple question, but it's anything but. This is a trick designed to get you to confess without realizing it. If you panic and try to guess, like, was I speeding? You've effectively handed them a confession. The officer doesn't need solid evidence, and now you've made their job easier. The best move? Stay calm and politely respond, "No, officer." This keeps you from inadvertently giving up any information that could be used against you. It's a small step that could make a huge difference. Next, let's look at how consent can play a huge role in giving up your rights. 2. The consent trap. Mind if I search your car? When a police officer asks for permission to search your car, it may seem harmless, like a friendly request. But in reality, you're giving up one of your biggest legal protections. According to a 1973 Supreme Court ruling, police don't have to inform you that you can refuse a search. So, when they ask, "Mind if I search your car?" many people say yes out of nervousness or a desire to be cooperative. However, once you consent, anything they find during the search can be used against you. The safest bet? Politely refuse and make them meet the legal standard for a search. Which leads us to the next tactic, how officers might try to use authority to force compliance. 3. The pop the trunk threat. When a police officer demands, "I need you to pop the trunk," it might sound like a command, but it's actually a trick. Officers often make it seem like they have the legal right to search a vehicle, but this isn't always the case. In many situations, they're simply hoping you'll comply without realizing that you have the right to refuse. If they try to pressure you with statements like, "If you don't let us in, we'll just get a warrant," they're bluffing. Unless they have clear probable cause or a warrant, they can't search your vehicle. So, stay calm and assert your rights. Respectfully refuse. Now, let's dive into how your rights change when you're not detained but still feel pressure to stay. 4. The "Am I being detained?" question. If you're approached by the police on the street and they start talking to you, it's easy to feel trapped, unsure if you're free to leave. But here's the truth. Unless you're being detained or arrested, you have every right to walk away. The trick here is that police officers often don't inform you of this. To protect yourself, you should politely ask, "Am I being detained?" If they say no or dodge the question, you're free to leave. This small but crucial move helps you avoid an interaction that could spiral into something worse, without the officer ever having told you that you were allowed to walk away. Moving on, there's a tactic that officers sometimes use when they show up at your door unannounced. 5. The knock and talk. Picture this. You're at home, minding your business, when there's a knock on your door. It's the police, but they have no warrant and no legitimate reason to enter. This tactic is called a knock and talk, and it's something that many officers use to pressure you into allowing them access. They may try to make it sound like you have to open the door, but you don't. Without a warrant or an emergency situation, they're just regular visitors. Politely refuse entry and talk through the door if necessary. Don't let them in. Anything they see or smell can be used against you. Next up, let's discuss how small violations can turn into full-blown searches. 6. How a minor violation can lead to a search. If you're pulled over for a minor violation, like a broken taillight or a missing insurance card, you might think the situation is no big deal. However, this is one of the sneakiest ways police sometimes get the chance to search your vehicle. They'll use these small infractions as an excuse to arrest you, even though they're minor offenses that would normally result in a fine. Once you're arrested, officers can search you in your car without needing a warrant. This tactic was upheld in the case of Atwater versus Lago Vista, where a woman was arrested for not wearing her seatbelt, something that would have usually only resulted in a ticket. Don't resist an arrest, but stay calm and remain silent. Now, let's move on to another trick police use to push past your consent, claiming they can smell something illegal. 7. The "I smell weed" trick. One of the most common excuses officers use to justify searching your vehicle is the claim that they smell marijuana, even if you've never touched the stuff. In many places, the smell of weed is considered probable cause, which gives the officer the right to search your car without your permission. Even if the officer's claim is a bluff, once they say they smell something, it's difficult to argue in the moment. So, if an officer makes this claim, stay calm and polite. Record the interaction if possible, and remember, you don't have to agree to a search unless they meet the legal requirements. Next, we'll take a look at how officers use misinformation to scare you into compliance. 8. The illegal to film police lie. Some police officers will tell you that it's illegal to record them while they're performing their duties. Don't fall for it. In the U.S., you have the right to record public officials while they're working in public spaces. If an officer tells you otherwise, you are under no obligation to hand over your phone or stop filming. In fact, recording the interaction can be incredibly helpful, especially if the officer tries to overstep or violate your rights. If an officer demands that you stop recording, calmly inform them that you have the legal right to do so. If they continue to push, consider filing a complaint later. Keep your composure and document the interaction. Your phone may serve as your best defense. Moving on, let's explore how police can invite you to their turf, hoping you'll make a mistake. 9. The invitation to the station. Sometimes, after a traffic stop or brief questioning, an officer might casually say, "Why don't you come down to the station to clear things up?" Don't be fooled. This is a psychological trick designed to get you to voluntarily enter an interrogation room. Once you're there, the environment changes. You're no longer free to leave, and they don't have to read your Miranda rights unless you're officially arrested. Officers know that most people, thinking they're cooperating, will talk themselves into trouble. So, if they invite you to the station, ask, "Am I under arrest?" and "Can I bring a lawyer?" If they're vague or evasive, you'll know it's time to walk away. Now, let's look at how simple words like "I want a lawyer" can shift the dynamics in your favor. 10. The power of saying, "I want a lawyer." During an interrogation, you might feel pressure to answer questions, but once you even hint that you might want a lawyer, things change. Police officers often use psychological tricks to convince you to keep talking, like telling you that a lawyer will only slow things down or make you look guilty. This is a manipulative tactic designed to get you to waive your rights. However, as soon as you say, "I want a lawyer," the questioning must stop. No matter what, do not hesitate to request legal representation. Don't engage further. Your lawyer is your shield. The moment you invoke this right, the interrogation process comes to a halt. Next, we will examine how officers might try to flip the script with good cop, bad cop tactics. By the way, if you're finding this guide useful so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button so we continue bringing such informative videos for you every day. 11. The good cop, bad cop routine. You've probably seen it in movies, but the good cop, bad cop routine is a real tactic used in interrogations. Here's how it works. One officer plays the role of the aggressive, hostile figure, while the other acts as a calm, understanding ally. The goal is to break you down emotionally and wear you out. The bad cop pressures you, making you feel like you have no choice but to confess, while the good cop offers sympathy, promising to help you if you just tell the truth. Don't be fooled by this manipulative tactic. Recognize it for what it is and stay strong. The best strategy is to remain calm and insist on your right to remain silent until you have legal representation. Moving on, let's discuss how the stress of being interrogated for hours can cause you to crack. 12. Exhaustion, a hidden tactic in interrogations. One of the oldest tricks in the book is pure exhaustion. If you're ever questioned for hours on end, it's not just about finding the truth, it's about wearing you down. When you're tired, stressed, and desperate for relief, you're more likely to say whatever you think will end the ordeal. This is why many confessions are made under duress, especially when interrogations drag on for 12, 18, or even 24 hours. Studies on false confessions show that prolonged questioning can significantly impair your judgment and memory. If you ever find yourself in this situation, remember, you have the right to remain silent and request a lawyer. Don't let the pressure force you into making a statement you'll regret. Let's move to the next trick. How police can mislead you with fabricated evidence. 13. The fake evidence trick. Police are legally allowed to lie to you during interrogations. They can tell you things like, "We found your fingerprints at the scene," or "Your friend already gave you up," even if none of that is true. This is a tactic used to make you feel cornered, encouraging you to confess just to end the pressure. The Supreme Court case Frazier v. Cupp, 1969, ruled that such lies don't automatically make a confession inadmissible. If a police officer tells you they have evidence they don't actually have, it's a psychological maneuver to manipulate you into admitting something. The best thing to do? Stay calm, stay silent, and ask for a lawyer. Don't let fabricated claims force you into a false confession. Let's now explore how officers use misleading questions to corner you into a lie. 14. It's illegal to stay quiet claim. One of the most common misconceptions people have about their rights is that they must always answer police questions. In reality, you have the right to remain silent. However, police officers sometimes make it sound like staying quiet will land you in legal trouble, claiming it's obstruction or hindering the investigation. This is simply untrue. You're under no obligation to speak to the police unless you're being arrested. If an officer tries to pressure you into answering, simply say, "I'm exercising my right to remain silent." Remember, anything you say can and will be used against you. Stay firm and stay silent. Now, let's talk about how police officers can manipulate your trust with friendly offers. 15. The "come with us to clear things up" trap. It may seem harmless when a police officer tells you, "Why don't you just come with us to clear things up?" But this is a tactic meant to get you inside a police station or a holding room where the atmosphere is no longer friendly. Ficers know that once you're inside, you're much more likely to speak and make statements without the protections of Miranda rights. This is because when you voluntarily go to the station, the officer doesn't need to advise you of your rights. Always ask, "Am I under arrest? And can I bring a lawyer?" If they hesitate or say no, walk away. You're better off staying outside their grasp. Next, let's look at how this smell of something illegal can lead to your rights being violated. 16. The "I smell weed" tactic. In many cases, officers may claim they smell marijuana, even if you've never smoked it. Under the law, the scent of marijuana can be considered probable cause, giving the officer the ability to search your car. The challenge with this is that smell is subjective. What one officer might describe as the odor of marijuana, another might dismiss. If an officer uses this tactic, stay calm and politely refuse the search. Record the interaction if possible. And remember, this is one of those moments where your rights could easily be violated if you don't stand your ground. Let's shift gears and look at another clever way officers can trip you up by claiming you've been identified. 17. The "you've been ID'd" trick. Imagine you're sitting in an interrogation room and the officer tells you your victim picked you out of the lineup or the eyewitness identified you. This can make your heart race, but it's important to remember, this could be a lie. In the case of People versus Dominic, 1986, detectives fabricated the story that an eyewitness had identified the suspect, even though they hadn't. This is a manipulation tactic meant to create doubt and push you into confessing. If you're ever told you've been identified, remember that it's your right to request proof or challenge this claim. Never admit to something without legal counsel present. Now, let's dive into another psychological game police play to pressure you into making a false confession. 18. The good cop, bad cop routine. The good cop, bad cop routine is a classic interrogation strategy designed to manipulate your emotions. One officer will act like the bad cop, aggressive, demanding, and threatening, while the other plays the good cop, offering sympathy and support. The good cop makes you feel like they're on your side, suggesting that if you just confess, things will go easier for you. The bad cop creates pressure, hoping to force you into submission. Recognize this for what it is, a mind game. The best response? Stay calm, don't take the bait, and assert your right to remain silent. Next up, let's look at how police can trick you into revealing too much by keeping you in a room for hours. 19. The endless interrogation tactic. When police interrogate you for hours on end, their goal is to break you down. Exhaustion, frustration, and the desire to end the ordeal often lead people to make false confessions just to get some rest. Many interrogations can last for 12 hours, 18 hours, or even longer, with the hope that you'll eventually say anything to stop the questioning. This is a strategy designed to wear you down mentally and emotionally. If you're in this situation, it's crucial to assert your right to remain silent and request a lawyer. Remember, the longer they keep you, the more likely they are to get a confession, but that confession could be completely false. Let's move on to a tactic that doesn't require any physical interaction, but can still be just as damaging: the manipulation of social media. 20. The social media sting. With the rise of social media, police have a powerful new tool in their arsenal. They can monitor your posts, messages, and even join private groups to gather information. Many officers create fake profiles to follow suspects or even interact with them online. In some cases, they've used social media to infiltrate private spaces like online chats, forums, and even direct messages. What you post online can be used against you in a criminal investigation. So, be cautious about what you share, even if it seems harmless. If you wouldn't say it to a cop's face, it's best to keep it off the internet. Up next, let's explore another classic method: setting up a sting operation. 21. The undercover officer in your circle. One of the sneakiest tricks used by police is sending an undercover officer to infiltrate your personal circle. Whether it's a close friend, a colleague, or even someone you meet casually, they could be working for the police. In Illinois v. Perkins, 1990, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that conversations with undercover officers are not protected by Miranda rights, meaning you could be unknowingly talking to someone who's recording every word. So, if you ever find yourself confiding in someone new or someone you suspect is too curious, be cautious. What seems like harmless conversation may end up being evidence against you. Now, let's take a look at how police can set up a situation designed to catch you off guard. 22. The classic sting operation. Police officers sometimes set up sting operations to catch criminals in the act. These operations usually involve officers posing as buyers, sellers, or other individuals to lure suspects into committing a crime. These operations are completely legal, but they can blur the line with entrapment, which occurs when the police push someone to commit a crime they wouldn't normally do. If you find yourself in a situation where someone is persistently encouraging illegal activity, remember to walk away. The safest move is always to avoid engaging with anyone who pressures you to break the law, even if they seem like a trustworthy source. Next, let's explore a tactic that feels a lot like a setup, but it's more psychological than physical. 23. The Mr. Big Sting. In some rare and extreme cases, police go all out with a technique called the Mr. Big Sting, which is still legal in some places. Originally conceived in Canada, this tactic involves building an elaborate fake criminal network around you. You're invited to be part of it, offered real money, and treated like a valuable member of a criminal enterprise. The idea is that once you feel connected to this fictional world, the big boss, who is really an undercover officer, will pressure you into confessing to past crimes. The psychological manipulation involved makes it a dangerous tactic, and confessions obtained this way are often unreliable. If you ever feel like you're part of something too good to be true, trust your instincts and walk away. Moving on, let's dive into how police use deceptive techniques to manipulate witnesses as well. 24. The cognitive interview technique. When police need to gather information from witnesses, they often use a technique known as the cognitive interview. This method is designed to help witnesses recall details they may have missed or forgotten. Officers will ask open-ended questions that may seem unrelated, like what was the weather like? Or what was the atmosphere around you at the time? The idea is to jog the witness's memory without applying direct pressure. While this can be effective in getting more accurate details, it's not foolproof. Even the most confident eyewitness can get things wrong, and small details can be easily misremembered. Finally, let's examine how police can misread body language and use it to their advantage. 25. The kinesics interview. Reading your body language. In addition to paying attention to what you say, Police officers are trained to observe how you say it, specifically your body language. The kinesics interview is a technique where officers study your movements, posture, and even your facial expressions to assess your truthfulness. For example, if you cross your arms or avoid eye contact, they may interpret it as signs of guilt or nervousness. This method is based on the idea that body language can reveal hidden truths. However, modern research has shown that these signs aren't always reliable indicators of deception. So, even if you're nervous, it's important to stay calm and keep your posture neutral. Outro. Now that you know these 25 tricks, you can stay informed and protect your rights during any police interaction. Remember, staying calm, knowing your rights, and asserting them respectfully can make all the difference. For more insights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.